Hey, this is Tilak. Welcome back to my tutorial. This time I'm back with a fast formula from TCS. There are most countries in Latin America, some countries in Europe, in some countries in Asia give you a 13 salary in a year. Some countries give a 14 salaries in a year. Though that the monthly the salary is a monthly, then you may ask how the 13 or 14 comes into the picture. Okay. They give it as a bonus. Some countries give a bonus like twice a year, or they give a two bonus in some month, or in Latin America mostly it's December. In Europe it could differ. In Asia also it could differ in different months. So basically, okay, assume now we are working on a 13 month. Your monthly salary is 5,000. They are fixing a monthly salary is 5,000. Assume that they'll give you 13 salaries. So your annual salary is 65,000, 65,000. Sorry, that's 65,000. And so now what DCS is currently doing here is either that the 65,000 is divided by 12, or either I'm not sure I haven't tested that, but definitely I know how it could work. Either divided by 12, then you get 5,420 per month. So you get basically it's January to December. That's what your payroll periods are. So January to December you get it. Or if they divide by the annual factor, then you'll get a 5,000. Still you are going to get only 12 rows. That 60,000 that is not even equal to your annual salary. So currently it cannot handle that because of that logic is different from place to place where to put that we can't figure it out. The only possibility I can think of is fast formula. Now how that row has to be written. Like for example, either that row has to be written this pattern, like January 5,000, January to November 5,000, and then December you get a 10,000. Assume that the assumption is December is your the bonus year. Or they probably can go for like January to December 5,000, and there's a one more entry they can make it. Two entries. So in this tutorial, we try to cover both the ways, but if it is longer, then I divide them into a two tutorial, I'll do that. Okay. Now we go into the first formula. Okay, name is I'll give a testing 13-month salary, something like that. I'll give it. Testing 13-month salary. Then I'll give a total T. I press the T, it goes to total, probably the last one in total compensation item. And I give a 2,000. Okay. So now this is ready. Okay. Now let me put a header for what I'm doing here. What is this formula is going to do? Put a header. Now what are the database I needed here? Okay, it is a sample, so I make it very simple. So the database item I need is annual amount, salary annualization factor. Probably I need a legal entity ID. It is optional. This is for returning it. Legal entity ID, you can use it. You don't use it, up to you. The assignment salary date from. I may not use it, but okay, it's better to have it because sometimes you need it. Though I may not use it, later I tell you why I need it. Okay, so I have annual amount, annualization factor, legal entity ID. This one. Okay, I may not use this as it is. I'll show you. I'm going to use it, but for the reason is I don't have set up with the 13 period. So I kind of pretend or I change the variable to 13, so it behave like a 13-month salary. Okay. Now, what are the variable needed? Okay, the first formula can return a two ways. Basically, the item can return. It can return a variables delimited with amount that values. For example, the compensation dates, you can delimit that dates with the different dates to create a record, or you can use the array. In this formula, I'm going to use an array. So I'm going to define a output variables in an array. Okay, compensation dates, values, assignments, legal entity IDs. The legal entity ID is optional. Assignment also optional, but the thing is better to have assignments and the legal entity IDs. So I'm having it. Now, what are the input variables? I'm going to use it. All I need here is dates, start date of the period and end date of the period. So that is what I'm using it, the start date and the end date, because we are going to create, not necessarily we are going to create a 12. We may create more. If we are having 2 years, then it's a 24. Okay, the assumption I'm making here is the payroll is defined for a monthly. That is what the assumption I'm going for that. So, like, for every month from a start date to end date, we'll create a, like, which how many months is there, we'll create it. And the bonus month is December. Okay. Now we'll get into the main logic. Before that, like, I always recommend you put a log messages. Okay, I'm using a set log because the set log is only helps you when you are using that tester in the item. Okay, so if you use anything else, like, the log will be, the information will be written into the log, ESS log, but you can't use the tester. So I recommend using a set log. This will help you. You can work in tester as well as it will put it into your ESS log. Okay, then like, I'm also taking the annual amount into a variable, and annualization factor also I'm taking a variable. Then I'm changing a variable to 13, so it behave like it has got a 13 months. Okay, now I'm getting assignment date in legal ID into a variable, so I can put them into arrays easily. You can use as it is a DBA, like, DBA also you can use directly, but I prefer to put into a variable. But like, so it's your preference. Then I'm going to calculate a monthly salary. What is my monthly salary? Okay, this has got some issues. This logic, I'll tell you later what is the issue is. I'm just indenting it so it looks good. So now I'm going to put all the information to the log, so I know that. So what I'm getting out of it. Okay. So annual salary, monthly salary, assignment ID, legal employer ID. Okay. Now there's a one possibility of the starting period not necessarily starting the first of month or the payroll date. Okay. So assume in this case, the first of the month is my salary date. So I have to drive that. For example, if you are starting on the 15th of January, then the salary start date start on 1st February. So that is what I'm going to do that. Okay, now let me get the first date of the month. Is the first date of the month I'm using it. So in your case, like, if it's starting the 1st January, it is the 1st January. If it is starting 15th January, this variable holds the 1st January. But now the 1st January is outside of the period, then I have to put it back into the February. So how do I do that? Okay, now what I do here is, if my first date is the calculated first of the month is lesser than the starting period, I put the first date in the first of next month. So it automatically goes to February in this case. That is what I'm doing here. It may not necessarily, if your salary is starting on first, you can ignore this slide just for that. But I'm doing that. Then I'm having a variable for index. The index is how many arrays I'm going to create it. Just I'm having a variable for index. Okay. Now let me get the loop. Okay, the loop is basically, okay, loop is there. Okay, now the loop is, as long as that the first month is less than end date, it goes to loop. So basically, then that will be incremented next month. So till it is lesser than the end date of the period, it goes through that. Once it crosses the end date. So if it's a December, it goes to next year February. Then as next year January, it will comes out of it. Now what's the logic? So I'm also writing into a log, like, which month I'm processing it. Now the compensation date is the index. I'm putting that date is always has to go in a MMDT format, so it goes in that. Assignment, I'm putting that. Legal employer, putting in the value, whatever the monthly salary, I'm putting that. Okay, now it is going through working on fine there. When it is come and hitting that the 12th month, now I have to put a 2 salary. So I'm monthly salary, I'm like multiplying by 2, then I'm assigning it. So only for the month of December, it has got a 2 salary. Okay, that is a 13-month period. Then basically is like how I increasing the index and how I'm increasing the date. So basically it goes up to the month, the day, the day that this date is greater than this one, it is going to come out of it. Once it come out, then I tell the system, okay, my formula is over. I'm putting a message. So you always recommend that, like, beginning and leaving, you put that. Then I'm just doing a return. So what are all these variables? I'm returning that. Okay, I'm done. Actually, you save in between when you are working here because it's already I wrote the formula, tested, I didn't bother much, but whenever you do the work, save it. Okay, I'm combining it. Okay, done. Okay, formulas combined, we are going to test it. But I'm not going to create all the statement and everything to create it. I'm going to use the item validator to test the formula. Okay, item. I am creating an item. I am also giving the same name so I know what I'm testing it. Formula. Okay, is there. And monetary and currency is USD. Whatever currency you are using, it is USD dollar, US dollar. Okay, and I'm testing the formula. I'm using 2012 Tabby. That is my usual person. Okay. Now, what you are getting here is the person has a 60,000 salary. 60,000 divided by 13 is 4,600. So only the December he get two amounts. So okay, it is telling this no error because then this is coming here. Okay, if you look at that, you get all the message up to January. Okay, in out. Okay. Now, if you look at the log, you get the entire log. You get that, like says that how many minutes taken. 0.43 seconds is has taken for to execute the formula. So it is working fine. Okay, now what could be the problem I was talking about? Coming here, basically I'm calculating a salary here. Now what it is doing here is the annual salary is taken as of your effective date in the first time. That most probably the end of the statement period. Assume that the end of the year. So assume it's the 2023. So December 31, 2023, the salary is taken. And the salary is 60,000. But and is also going the assumption from January to December is the 60,000, but it's not necessarily, am I right? The salary might have changed one time or two time, at least might have changed one time. That's a possible. So now that is not getting considered in this logic. So now how do we work on that? Okay, now that probably I'll do it in the next my tutorial. Okay, if you have any problem, let me know. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have a better way of doing it, please let me know. I also learned something. Thanks. And I upload this code in my blog. I'll give the link to the blog. You can get the code. And it is sample. Okay. It may not work as it is. You have to change it according to your requirement. Okay. Thank you.